Welcome back to the Papa Meat channel. How you doing? Come on and sit on down. Today we have an excruciating video for you. I decided to watch all of the Paranormal Activity movies in one setting. I think everybody's at least seen a couple of the Paranormal Activity movies. I mean, when I went and saw Paranormal Activity in theaters in like 2008, 2009, whenever that was, it still is today probably the funnest, scariest movie theater experience I've ever had. And if you weren't there in that cultural kind of moment in history, I don't think a lot of people will know how absolutely massive this movie was. So today I'm going to rank all of them out of the 7 movies, and yes, there's 7. People say there's 8 because there's one called Tokyo Night, but that's not an official Paranormal Activity movie, so I'm just, watch that if you want, but I didn't include that in. The Paranormal Activity franchise was all birthed from an indie film that blew up, and I feel like I wanted to rewatch it with all the success that we've been seeing with some of the independent movies lately. Terrifier had a $200,000 budget. It grossed like 10 million, 12 million, 15 million, something like that. Pretty awesome. Skinamarink was made for like $7 and it made like $1 billion. That was like $1 million. Paranormal Activity was made for like $10,000. It was shot in 7 days at like the director's house and it grossed almost $200 million. I mean, we're talking huge overnight success, like pop culture phenomenon. Before, this is like MySpace era when you'd go to somebody's profile and it would just be playing Escape to Fate, that one song that was like, that song, or it'd be playing Bubba Sparks' Big New Booty if you went to my page, maybe. But this is like before viral marketing, and it was just the trailer of the original one was footage of people inside the theater, and it was so captivating. I was so excited I wanted to see it. And what started as like a little local showing ended up having Steven Spielberg attached to it, and I think he tinkered with the ending. And then it became, oh, let's put it in a couple more theaters. Oh, now it's national. Oh, now it's global. It's pretty crazy to think. And from that was born 7 monstrosities. Maybe not monstrosities, they're okay. So let me just get this flat out there because we're going to be hopping around different, we're not going in chronological order here. The intricate lore of the series is basically a family have been plagued with a demon who wants to take over the body of a child. Every Paranormal Activity movie, every single one, maybe except, no, I'd still say even the last one. The first 20 minutes of the film are going to be, let's show off every gadget we have so you know how things are getting recorded. And also, we're going to joke around. It's gonna be, oh, come on, stop pointing that camera at me. What are you doing? People joking around, whatever. And you maybe get one thing with, the first night might come in there and a door might barely move, but nothing really happens. The next hour of the movie is people sitting in beds, watching things slightly kind of move, people being very skeptical. They don't really believe anything, even though it's like, dude, you saw this shit on camera. Why the fuck is anybody not just being like, let's stay at a church? Let's just camp out at a church for a couple days. It's always just like, well, I mean, God, what are we supposed to do? Believe in these wacky ghosts? Okay, I guess we'll do it tomorrow. But then, it's just like, okay, tomorrow they're gonna die. And then the last 10 minutes, almost on cue, the last 10 minutes of every Paranormal Activity movie is the big crescendo ending, and it's usually very uneventful. It's kind of stupid, and it's just like, and we're done. And that's how that's how every Paranormal Activity movie is. So that's the structure. Go ahead and put up a little map. There's your road map of every Paranormal Activity movie. Coming in dead last, absolutely dead last, is Paranormal Activity 6, Ghost Dimension. Paranormal Activity 6 was one of the first ones where we deviated away from the normal cast of the first 3 to 4 movies. This is a new group of people, and they completely ruined everything that was fun about the Paranormal Activity movies. You know what's cool about these movies is that it's all imaginative. You don't ever see the demons or anything like that, because if you saw the demons, you'd be like, wow, that looks fucking stupid. And here, hey, newsflash, this was stupid. It's like a black and like it looked like Venom, kind of. I thought I was gonna see Peter Parker fucking swing in and start fighting this motherfucker. I mean, it was like literally strands of gooey smoke. Oh, they have a fancy camera, and it's like, oh, with this, we're able to see all the different dimensions with this camera. And you see the the gooey ghost, and it whips past the camera a bunch. And all the sound effects are super fucking annoying and over the top and stupid, which is a staple of the series, but still. So many screenshots of them being like, what the hell is this thing? And it looks like a DeviantArt ghost face that they have stilled and blurred. And they're like, what? This looks like a face. Does it? Does it look like a face? Duh. I mean, all in all, it's just, you don't care about any of the characters. The acting is terrible. It's like such a stupid, forgettable story. And also by this point, we're 10 years into this movies. And the Paranormal Activity movies, you have to realize, follow the exact same script formula for each movie, and they don't deviate away from it until the last one. We'll get to that, but yeah, Ghost Dimension. I mean, there's a point in the movie where a portal opens up in the little girl's bedroom, and she just like she walks in and then she dies. It's just so stupid. And by this point, my God, let me tell you, 6 movies in with the same kind of like family and drama and whatever else, and now we have new characters that are finding mysterious tapes from the previous films. So tiresome. This movie was wow. And this is effectively what killed the franchise too. This movie basically killed the franchise, and then I think the next one didn't come out for 5 years, which up until this point, I think they came out every year or basically every other year. So I think everyone was just like, okay, let's call it quits on this. I think we're good. So Paranormal Activity, Ghost Dimension, dead last. My God. Coming in at 6th place is Paranormal Activity 4. By this point in the film series, we are now once again deviated from the main course, and all of the weird little babies from before have now grown up, and we get the autistic little boy named Theodore, and he looks like a tater tot. He kind of looks Amish, weirdly enough. It's just weird, but the whole thing is he's the kid next door. You have a very charismatic lead actor. She's really great, but by this point in the franchise, people are using like new technology. Like the big gimmick in this one was they have an Xbox Kinect. That's a rough piece of technology to use. That didn't age well. I'm pretty sure those were out for like, what, a year before they became completely obsolete. But they have the little dots on the wall, and it's supposed to be all scary, and you can see stuff moving in there. It's just such a forgettable, who cares movie. And once again, the last 10 minutes are just chaotic nonsense of people screaming like, "Dad, help!" People getting thrown around, dumb old bitches walking around. The amount of times in this film franchise where it's just like hooded old women walking menacingly towards you, it's too much. The whole movie is just super forgettable, really annoying jump scares. It's just like, this one was such a pain to sit through. And also just all the comedy, you know, where it's like, you know, I don't know, babe. I mean, we have the recorder. Why don't we fuck? Should we fuck? Come on, Garrick. We're not going to do that. I think that's just about in every one of the movies, too. I'm trying to think about anything else to say. It's just such a forgettable movie. There's really nothing else. There's like a scene where one of the kitchen knives, you see it go up and it builds up the tension all nice. And it takes forever, and then it drops down and it like lands in front of the dad, and it's been hanging up for like a day. Like I think like almost a day, which no one has seen a floating knife apparently just hanging up there for a day. And the dad's just like, what the hell? And he starts yanking at it, and he's like, okay. And like the wife's all pissed off at him because his dick can't get hard anymore or something like that. He's just like, nothing happens. Imagine just all of a sudden a knife drops from your ceiling and it hit. I mean, wouldn't she be like, I think there's something wrong. I think there's something crazy going on. Also, my daughter has been bitching and complaining for like a month about ghost shit, and this happens and you don't do anything? Okay, dude. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's like, for me, it's 6th place. It's a rough one. Coming in at 5th place, almost getting to the podium, Paranormal Activity 2. Probably one of the most disappointing sequels I've ever seen in my life. Paranormal Activity 1 nails it so hard that Paranormal Activity 2 literally could have just kind of been a recreation of the first movie, and it is, but it's just like such a watered down version of everything. You can tell that immediately with all the craze, they were like, quick, make another movie, hurry. And in this rush, they forgot to put anything interesting in the movie, and it just follows whatever her name is. Who cares? Katie's sister, she has a baby, and they do like a weird thing where it's like, well, actually, if you start this movie before the first movie, and then you pause the first movie, and then you go over, it's like a weird like interjection time thing where it's like, oh, part of the movie happens before the first movie, and then it finishes after the first movie, if that makes sense. I don't know. Once again, baby stuff. Things are going weird. The only good thing that puts this kind of higher up on the list is that the ending to the movie is so abrupt that it's really funny. You're like, oh wow, some interesting stuff is happening. And then all of a sudden, Katie from the first movie shows up. She snaps the dad's neck in a really, really funny way. Like he's like, and they use like a funny sound effect. And then Katie just walks upstairs. Her sister's holding the baby, and she just like force blasts her sister into the corner. And it's a really funny sound. I mean, she walks in, she's like, Katie? And she just force blast her. Like, force blast. You don't even see her, like, yeah, she just kind of hits the wall hard, but you're like, oh, she's dead. Okay. And then Katie just grabs the baby, which miraculously survived this force blast. and Katie takes her. The whole movie was just so bad. It almost was last on my list. It was almost last, but the force thing really, it put it above the other two. I mean, it was so funny. But it also has the cheapest scare where it's like a bunch of shit where it's like stuff falling, like a pot falls. And then I remember seeing this in the movie theater and I was so pissed. This one came out in 2009 or 2010. And I remember sitting in the movie theater and there's a part where she's sitting in the kitchen and like it's the most obnoxious jump scare. All the cabinets and shit falls, opens at once, and the girl screams. But it's mixed so high that it's just like, fuck you, dude. Like that, what an annoying thing to do. Yeah, so fifth, Force Blast was really funny. If they would have had multiple Force Blasts in it, this might be, you know, it might be number 3. I don't know. But yeah, Force Blast, pretty good. Coming in at 4th place is Paranormal Activity Next of Kin. This movie is so high on the list, or higher at least, because we get rid of all of the stupid lore that we've had to deal with the entire time. And now we're just like, oh, restart. Basically, this movie it was like Cloverfield Lane, where it's like, this doesn't really have anything to do with Cloverfield, but they just sold the movie with Cloverfield Lane so people would, one, the studio would buy it, and then 2 people would be like, oh, I remember that movie, let's go see it. This could have been any horror, like found footage horror movie, but they're like, what if we threw Paranormal Activity on top of it? Oh, okay, I guess so. So Paranormal Activity, fuck you, Next of Kin. That's kind of what it should have been called, because this has nothing to do, even with like the previous like demon or anything. It's just kind of its own thing. And maybe this was supposed to be a soft reboot, but it's really bad. It's like really boring. It's shot at least a little better, but it doesn't answer the age-old question of like, why are you filming? That's like the biggest thing with found footage horror films I know a lot of people have gripes with, is like, why are you still filming this? Why are you still holding an industrial camera and being like, let's get out of here, and like stabilizing your shot and running? This one, it's a person is trying to find her mom, but her mom is from an Amish village or something. Wouldn't you know, the mom ran away with the baby because the woman was subject to a demon transfer or something. God, it's just so tiring. This is the last movie I had to watch for the night, so by this time I was beat, bro. Absolutely beat. But you have to give it credit. I mean, it's number 4 on the list, you know, so. But, you know, you get a creepy dungeon thing where they like go down to like a feeding pit thing, so there's that. I mean, I don't know. It was just so refreshing not have to hear about Katie or any of the other stupid fucking things that they have like built on this lore. It felt like just a different movie, so I think that's why I was like, oh, that felt refreshing. But all in all, I mean, you know, you have the 20 minutes of build up with the funny, big, gawky, stupid son of a bitch they have to play their sound guy. It's just all the same tropes. The practical effects for the monster thing at the end is cool, and we get to see that, but it's not like cringy like Ghost Dimension where it's just like, do you see it in the camera? It's like a big pale woman. Oh yeah, the monster in the well is the girl's mom. So there's a funny moment where she's like, Mom, do you know who I am? It's like, dude, weren't you abandoned as like a baby? Why would she know who you are as an adult? Do you know who I am, Mommy? And then she fucking jabs a hook in her neck and throws her into a hay baler. It's just so forgettable. And then once again, the last 10 minutes of the movie is, you know, it's kind of cool. You get like a jaw rip, but I feel like they really wanted to milk this shot because there's one moment in the scene where they're like, yeah, well, we can do ultra slow-mo, and it captures things that the human eyes can't see, but for some reason the camera just kind of does it randomly when the sound guy's jaw gets ripped off. So it's like a weird slow-mo rip, and I'm like, is that supposed to be cool? Am I supposed to be like, oh, nice, from the sound guy getting his jaw ripped off? Maybe so. This one just, like I said, I think it just is this high up because by this point, it's like, it just doesn't try to pander to the bad story, the lore of this previous family. And it's like shot okay, but once again, it just doesn't, it's fine. Out of all the other ones, this one's like just as good as those movies, except it like is a new take. So it's 4th. I'm done talking about it. Finally, we're at the podium. Coming in with the bronze medal is Paranormal Activity 3. Paranormal Activity 3. I thought I had more to the title, but it doesn't. Paranormal Activity 3, this is a fun one. It looks at Katie and his sister. I've already forgotten her name. Katie is like really the only sister that people care about. I want to say Kelly. I don't know. If it's wrong, freeze frame it and call me a fucking idiot. But it follows them back in the 80s. We get a little piece of lore in the first movie, a little nugget, where Katie in the first movie, she's like, how do we have this picture? My house burnt down and there's no way that we should have this picture in my attic. The movie producers were like, Yes, let's do a movie of that when they were younger. Yes. But it kind of works out. It's cool. With the limitations of the time of not having like fucking such an accessible camera, they kind of do some funny things where, like, of course they have the dad's like, oh, I got this camera, this fancy camera. But they do an interesting way of like doing some of the jump scares, which I'm not the biggest fan of the jump scares, but it's kind of cool. They put on like a fan so it slowly goes left to right and right to left. And it's an interesting way to like show new scenes, introduce new elements, and like build anticipation. You know, that's kind of cool. And also the little girl actors are really good. There's a really funny part where I think I think it might be Katie as a little girl. She gets like sucked into a closet and you're like, God damn. I was like wondering how they filmed it because it's so visceral and so violent where I'm like, I hope that was 3D. Little girl, we're going to put a harness on you and you're going to get sucked into a closet today. All right. Okay. It was interesting. I would say that this was one of the funner adaptations because it felt like I liked a lot of the characters. There's like the dad of the two kids, his assistant. There's like a really creepy part where he's playing Bloody Mary in the bathroom with the girls, which on paper that doesn't, but no, he's like it has like a funny beat. He's a likable guy. I liked all the characters, and the ending of the movie it's okay. Once again, I think this one has hooded bitches in it too, but it's like one of the first times that we branch out of the house and like the people are like, fuck it, we're gonna stay at your mom's, and you're like, oh, that's like logical. Like all these time people are just like, well, let's just stay here, all right, because some dipshit's like, oh, they're demons, they're gonna follow you. It's like, why would you care? I'd be like, okay, so I'm just supposed to trust you, whatever. Creepy old mom, turns out she's a Satanist. It's kind of a fun reveal. I mean, it's like obviously you see it coming from a mile away because this is the third one, and God forbid they deviate from the story and try new characters. But Paranormal Activity 3, it's all in all pretty fun. Except it's like, I don't know why, but the best thing that they can do in this franchise early on is they just like break people's bones. Like Katie snaps a bunch of necks, people get force blasted into corners, and at the end of this movie, it's actually pretty funny. The mom, she's dead. You don't see her die, but she's like hanging upstairs, and then the ghost like throws her, but you can tell that the actor was on like a pulley, so it does like a swing, and it's just like a ragdoll body, and then the dad gets his spine broken. But it's like, is that like a fun way in a ghost movie to see? I mean, I guess it's like supposed to be like more realistic, but it felt stupid. But then by the time I got to Ghost Dimension, let's bring back Ghost Dimension again. When you see the big stupid black cloud like stab people in the back at the end of the movie and like rip people apart, you're like, this okay. I'd rather have just the neck snap. So Paranormal Activity 3, I think this is still in the realm where if you were like, oh, I want to watch like a found footage movie, I'd still recommend this one. I think the top 3 I'd recommend. Yeah. Why not? Coming in at number 2, the silver medal is Paranormal Activity 5, the marked ones. I'm going to let you all know right now that this movie is like, it's okay. All of these movies are just all right. Like, when we're this late in the video, I'm just now telling you this. But coming at second place is the marked ones. Once again, it's just because we deviate from the normal cast and crew, and now with a new set of people, a teenager living with his family and their friends, and it's them stumbling across one of the cult members who lives down below, and it's like how this evil energy affects them and how it like ties in with the main storyline with Katie and all the fucking forgettable stupid characters. It's fun. I like the characters a lot. I think the guy's funny. I think a lot of the build up and the creepy apartment that they're breaking into, it's just more interesting watching these characters proactively do things versus like, how about we just leave the tripod in the corner the whole movie again? It's like, that's a fun gimmick for the first one, but my God, 7 movies? Fuck, it's brutal. So by the time you get to this part of the franchise, you're like, oh, this is fun. And also, oh, this has the best ending in the whole franchise, but easily. Basically, I'm just spoilers. By the end, the Hispanic kids have shotguns and they're gunning down the old bitches. So you know how I said the trope of the old women? You're like, oh God, here comes the old women menacingly. By this time, the Hispanic kids, our main characters, have shotguns and they're just like blowing these old bitches away. And you're like, this is like campy and stupid and fun. So this is cool. And it has like a clever twist at the end where you find out that the kid, I guess it's not clever, it's kind of fucking stupid, but at least it's like cohesive. And the main character you follow, he's kind of becoming possessed throughout the movie, and people are like, they're worrying about him, but by the end of the movie, he kills his buddies, and he is the monster from the first film that kills Mika. It's like a fun tie-in. I mean, it's like I said, it's fucking stupid, but it's like for a franchise like this, it's cool. I mean, like, out of all of them, I would probably recommend this one first before anything. Like, I feel like this one would be fun to see before you see the first movie. Maybe. I don't know. But, you know, the part where them shooting those old women with shotguns is super, super funny. And there's also some interesting jump scares in it. I mean, mostly just also having it be so confined in an apartment is also really funny, because the rest of the time it's just like rich assholes who like live in mansions in San Diego, and they're like, there's a ghost in our house, and it takes them 7 years to run from one end of the house to the other one. So having a 2-bedroom apartment, it just like oddly made me like the characters more. I sympathize with them more. Not to say that the other people deserved it, but I was just like, yeah, fuck, you've had a good ride so far. I mean, you lived in an LA, like a San Diego mansion. I think that you could get possessed and suck some in hell forever. You did your part. All in all, more likable characters. The comedy was kind of cringe, but at the same time, it builds to their likability. It didn't feel like it was just following the standard trope of like, it follows the tropes, but it feels at least like fresh and new enough that the characters are likable, which beforehand, in every other movie that isn't the first movie, you hate. Actually, even the first movie, you fucking hate the characters basically the whole time. It is what it is. Paranormal Activity 5, the marked ones. For me, I'm like, to be 5 movies deep and then to at least be like, yeah, let's try something new. I have respect for that. I'd check that one out. If you haven't seen it, the poster is so bad. Don't let that judge it. I mean, you might hate the movie too. I don't give a fuck. You know, I'm just giving you my list. And coming in with the gold medal, of course, is Paranormal Activity 1. I mean, obviously, right? To really even put into how important this movie was in like 2008 or 2009, I don't think I could ever do it. I am looking at this film through rose goggles. I'll tell you that right now. But if I had to put it into an objective thing and leave emotions out of it, it just feels like a classic found footage movie. The camera's kind of shitty. There's scenes where the characters aren't even in focus. It's just, you can tell this was done so quick and so like cheaply, but that like lends itself to the authenticity of like some asshole going to Best Buy and like grabbing a camera. Like, he's not gonna know how to like mess with the fucking what's he doing there? He's not going to know how to like set the aperture settings, like making the lighting all good. It feels like a guy who's just like, hey, you said that some weird shit's been happening. I'm going to document it. And that's like the funnest part of this movie, is how simple it is. It really lends itself to the structure that they basically copy every time, because it's very effective. I mean, seeing these 2 characters, and it's only basically 2 characters the whole movie, Katie and Mika, which fuck that name. Mika? I thought it was Micah. I've heard Micah before. Mika? Fuck you. The whole dynamic between the 2 is very believable. You have Mika, who's like, I don't really believe in any of this shit. I think it's stupid. I'm kind of like hoping that it is real, so that maybe we have something here. You kind of get the motive. He doesn't really directly say this, but you kind of get the motive that he's like, oh, this is a big thing. We'll just sell it. Or it's like crazy. This is kind of wacky. And Katie plays it in an interesting way. And it's interesting from the first movie because we don't know her whole backstory. We don't have 5 films of history building, where after a while you're just like, God, let her burn. Let her burn in hell. It's all little trickles of information you get where she's like, yeah, I mean, it was kind of weird when I was a kid. And that's like interesting because you're like, oh, so this has happened before? That's kind of weird why you'd never bring that up. And it just introduces little bits of information from her backstory, but it's just so bite-sized and digestible that you can either kind of just block it out, or you can like really think about the backstory in your head and let it run and like, you know, give it legs to fuel your imagination for such a like weird and interesting idea. And this movie isn't doing anything new that other movies haven't done. It just is extremely solid. All the scares are like really fun, but the one thing they did like capitalize on is the nights. It catalogs the nights, and it like, you know, night 1, oh, the door moved. Oh my God, that's crazy. And they kind of go through, look through the footage, and he's like, look at this, I found this. And she's like, oh my God, that's weird. Well, whatever. He's like, babe, don't even fucking worry about it, all right? It's probably just the wind. It's like closed windows. Sure. But then you have little moments where it builds the escalation of having a spiritual guy come over and he's like, yeah, I think that you have a demon here, actually. I don't fuck with that stuff, but I know somebody who does. You should give him a call. Mika, being the proud man he is, doesn't call him, and he just kind of lets it get horribly wrong until I think like 2 weeks goes by and they call the guy again because it's gotten so bad. And the guy takes one step in the room and he's like, yeah, this place is fucked. I'm leaving now because the demon is pissed. Peace. And they leave. And you're like, oh shit. It's just like fucking scary that like this person who's supposed to help you is just like, you're fucked. Bye. I really enjoyed that. But it's just a great build up too. And I mean, like, even just the things of like being attacked by things you can't see. And there's a great little thing where Mika puts baby powder on the floor and you see the footprints walk in the room, but they don't leave. So you have like, you're imagining like, oh fuck, is this thing just standing here? It also completely goes against the idea of whatever the fuck was going on in the Ghost Dimension movie. They apparently just threw that to the side, but weird like alien hoof prints or something. It's just odd. And there's just tons of just little great parts of the movie where you're like, oh, this is creepy. the scratch is an itch. The scratch is a horror itch. And from the emotional side of things, I just remember going to see this movie with my friends and like sitting in the theater, and it just plays like, it plays the opening card, which is like, Paramount Pictures wants to thank the families of these people and whatever for giving us the footage to edit this movie. And you're like, wait, hold on. Is this real? This isn't real, is it? And then the movie ends and there's no credits. So it's just like a fun way that Blair Witch Project back in the day made a fake website, and it was like, hey, these kids are missing. So people were like, oh my God, this is fucking real. Which it's like, you know, obviously hindsight, all these fucking Zoomers now are gonna be like, oh, you guys are stupid. Bro, we didn't have the iPhone just came out. We had flip phones still. Fuck you. But it was such a amazing movie experience. I remember going home that night and being so scared, and everybody was like staying awake, and they're like, did you hear that? I think something said my name. And it was just a perfect movie experience. One time. Then you see it like a bunch of times and it's like, you know, really shitty and predictable. But as like a piece of like art for a one-time experience, it is awesome. I really wish I could go back and experience it again fresh without having seen it and relive that memory. But I would say it also propelled found footage, which I love. I love the cheesy aspect of found footage. It's such a fun medium to play in, and Paranormal Activity like gave that legs. Granted, it also caused thousands, if not tens of thousands, of knockoff paranormal found footage movies. You know, some of them I think are liked. Probably the biggest one is Grave Encounters. I remember that first one that got a lot of praise, but just tons of, you know, put a list of DVD titles that are found footage movies just here. One of them's Paranormal Entity. That was like one where I was like, this looks creepy, and it's just fucking stupid. But, you know, I don't know. I think it gave more people an opportunity to get into the found footage franchise, and I think that's cool, because you get cool movies a lot of the times that I think people write off. Like Lake Mungo, I know I've recommended that one before, but that's a great found footage kind of fake documentary style movie. That's really cool, and I don't know. It's just cool. But, you know, that's my list. Would I recommend anybody actually watch the Paranormal Activity movies? I would say if you haven't seen the first one, I'd say just watch that. And if you enjoyed it, then, you know, Godspeed. Good luck diving through the rest of them. All in all, they're like very mediocre movies, but it's a prime example of like just doing something extremely simple right will go so much farther than trying to make some big convoluted piece of shit. So hats off to you, Paranormal Activity. You did one thing good. Proud of you. If you want me to watch another franchise, you should let me know below. Maybe I'll do it in one sitting again. I hope not. There's a lot of franchises that have too many films. This took me like 9 hours to do, and my wife was very mad. So there's that. Thank you for watching. Don't get too afraid tonight when you watch Paranormal Activity. I hope there's not a demon that's gonna touch you. I think if I had to do another one of these, though, I'd probably just do Final Destination. I was thinking about that. I don't think I've seen any other Final Destination movie outside of 1 and 2, and that always fucked me up as a kid. There was like a period where I was afraid to get on a plane because of the first Final Destination movie. You know what I mean? So maybe that one. I would hate to do Saw. That would be, what is there, 12 Saw films? Fuck, that'd be brutal.